Mi nombre es Karina Cabrera y este es el nivel 2 de Visual Communication en OCA. Inspired by, I went back to all the artists that I like to look for why I like them, of course, but also how they present their work, how they finish their work, and things like that, in order to get a better understanding of how construct a finished piece of artwork. Lisa Simonova. I think she's very expressive and use threads like she's painting. Is you can feel that every piece of her work is very personal, and it's something that I want to achieve. That each one of my pieces is not just a reconstruction of reality, but more like an expression of what I want to communicate. See my analysis of her work in my blog. The other thing I wanted to investigate is paper cutting. I went in detail to different artists, how they present their work, how they create three-dimensional shapes, and finally how they put it together, how they take pictures, and how is the final pieces. Was not only the cutting, but also it's important to ensemble the work. For that, I went to the Puppet channel and Domestica course in order to understand the technique behind. I did a lot of experimentation in this part. I use ceramic, Fimo, paper clay, and other dry clays. I also work with fabric and paper. So here I'm just gonna show you a selection of the work that I did. I wanted to create small pieces so I can add threads through the holes and see how I can connect it to create one big piece. That's the idea behind to all these small pieces. Here you can see some sketches where the idea start with putting some pieces on the body and connect them with threads. But this is a very open idea. I am not committed yet with it, but it was a lot of fun to think about the body as a way to showcase an art piece. Here you can see how they will look like is that I polished them, I painted them, I use a branch in order to hang and put them together. You can see here that the threads hang. I think I need more threads in that, so it's very unfinished, but well, that's the overall idea. This was my sketchbook for the summer. I just wanted to show simply what I was doing. It's not strictly related, but undoubtedly many of the phrases or many of the ideas that I work here, I might use them later on for the project. So I wanted just to show how the pages were composed and have a rough idea how I was working. This is the sketchbook for this project. Well, in reality, it's not a sketchbook for the project because it's not an sketchbook, loose pages. But I did this with a purpose because I wanted to use the pages in order to sew them or embroider them, whatever I wanted to use them for. As you can see, there are different styles, different type of paper. That was also with purpose. I wanted to experiment in how different drawings will look, different styles will look. I use different media. Is very experimental, this sketchbook. I went back to the sketchbook that I was using originally, and I started to think about the three-dimensionality of the project. I didn't want it to look flat. So I started thinking of a sculpture, themo, and the paper in different layers where the idea started. And as you can see, I started doing small samples of how it will look or how it looks in my mind. And it worked really well. I really like them. So I thought, well, the idea will be genius if this is in a book. But I wasn't happy with the book because I don't know. I thought it wasn't perfectly enough. So I decided to use tints in order to create it, and I call it window of time because it's kind of like that. I'm coming back to an old town that doesn't exist anymore through pictures. This idea of window of time, I think, click perfectly on how I feel about the Bokonok pictures. There is a lot of work to do, normally to determine what type of thing, how I'm gonna do it, what type of feeling I wanna get, the color I wanna use for the tints, is it similar to one of them, or each tint is gonna be independent. So I haven't determined how I wanted to present it yet, but that's the avenue I want to go. Another thing that I forgot to mention is I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the sculpture. I don't know if I'm gonna go back to them, keep working on them, or that I'm gonna leave them as an inspiration.